Now, sometimes I'll wake up with what's called a puffy eye, right? Now, I had cops hit me before. I was in karate, so I've been hit with pads, both, normal and for tournaments. So, yes, right. Now, the problem was we were told not to hit hard and try not to hit the opponent, right? And the other guy just hit me 3 times straight out because I was pulling my punches, right? My kicks, right? I was trying not to really hit him like they said not to, and so I didn't really hit him, right? But he flat out hit me 3 times in a row, right? Because I was confused by what they were telling us to do. I know. And I was trying to show good form instead of hitting him, right? It don't mean I couldn't hit him, but I'm doing what's called pulling your punches, right? Because of the pads, especially when you hit somebody and he didn't kick me, he more what? You hit me. Dude, right. I know. So I was trying to pull mine, and especially my kicks, right? Probably landed, right? Where you can even, right. I know, right. Now, what I'm talking about though is manually manipulating again, right? You gotta push the button to change the channel. This is, I think, 16, right? Yep. Right. You gotta do something. Well, the last channel it wasn't on the next morning. Someone manually changed it. Now, they could have stuck to the garage if they wanted to get through all the stuff. There's a little bit of stuff in the garage, and whenever I want to, I might show you that one day. Who cares? I mean, believe it or not, right? They could also sneak out through the garage if all that had been in the front, right? Another possibility, huh? Right. I know. Though they have to use their phone as a light, that means she came with a purse or something, right? She even could have had a gun in the person, I don't know, but I hope not, right? That's serious attempted murder, right? Even if I hit like the Wolverine, right? Attempted murder means you're trying to harm someone to the point of murdering them, right? That's worse than sex. But Satan's got you associating sex with death, right? Stop doing that, right? Sex is your lifeline, right? Not your death line, right? Unless the sex in Eden is part of what kills you, right? But it's not all. It's not all. The other thing is Satan probably is the first to die permanently, right? Now, I think he also might have tried to kill the tree of life, which is Jesus' form before he became Jesus in the New Testament, right? When God has manifested himself throughout the Old Testament to Abraham and Sarah, um, Rebecca, because he didn't really do it with Isaac so much, right? I know. But Jacob, right? Jacob saw the ladder from heaven to earth, by the way, Jacob's ladder, right? And wrestled with the angel, the one you could see at the time, right? Or feel. Now, yes, it could have been in more of a hallucination type thing, and only he wrestled with it, right? I know. But it's also something spiritual and physical, right? That's again why they're confused about him coming through a woman. Well, she's the door, right? And he entered in by the door and is the door, right? So are you the door 50-50, right? Male or female, you're your mom and dad, right? Sperm and egg, right? We all are. We all are. We all have that in common, whether you're male or female. Now, David said you're a little lower than the Elohim, right? Or angels, right? Elohim, right? Now that's plural, that, right? El is singular. El he too, right? Now some say, hey, I wonder why, right? You're taking away from your females. And you're making them slaves or second class citizens, even determining who they marry sometimes, right? What do you think Paul's talking about marrying a virgin or not, right? And giving her to marry, right? Or not marry, right? That's all he's really talking about there, right? Whether you allow her to marry or not. But there again, today the women have more of a choice, don't they? Right? Feminism and all that. And if you suppress somebody long enough, they're going to rise up, right? Right? Right. And you're the physically stronger. It don't mean, again, she's weak and can't kick your butt. Sometimes, right? She too can learn karate, right? I know. Right, right. But I know what the girl's problem is if she was really 15 and told me she was 37. She feared I would rat her out or something or get her in trouble, so tried to seduce me, right? Knowing I wouldn't know her real age. But she's also the only one who could have hit me over the head or black me out or something, right? But like I said, it would have to be the same with the girls in the other restaurant too. See, only they can black me out or sneak up on me and black me out, right? And if you hit me over the head, over the back of the head or something, right? Or even the front, and I survived the wreck and the fall, what's that? What's up? And I only truly blacked out twice. And of course, they're girls, so, you know, the old saying, girls don't hit as hard as a boy. And usually they don't, right? And that's why I think it could have been a woman who hit me, maybe Vivian or her daughter, right? If her and little Roddy went back there and started having sex. That's just a theory, right? But there again, she's doing it in front of her own daughter with his, my stepbrother, right? Right. What does she want her daughter to do? The same thing with me? Or not? To behave ourselves, right? You know how mothers get. So, no. Sometimes they're two-timers, right? In other words, they'll do something themselves, but then when their own child does it, they get upset, right? And she had to be within a certain age or I wouldn't have had sex with her either. Now, if I'm 16, I'm still a minor, right? Not 17 yet either. Sometimes when you're 17, you can be charged as an adult. And that's what I would tell her. Well, I'm still 16. I'm still a minor, right? I just hit the age of, consent myself, but she's not that much younger than me, right? And I would say, well, you can call the police, right? Or the sheriff, right? I don't know, right? But I didn't rape her, right? Right. And Roddy, of course, has to defend Vivian, right? She's his girlfriend, right? Does that make more sense, right? And whoever's, attacking me knows what Roddy looks like, right? It ain't Mark, he's dead, right? Right. Though Molly does look a little similar to Mark, but she's not Mark. She's not Mark either. But whatever we were arguing about, it was probably her age at the time, which was probably 14, right? That's what I figure. I remember if I remember or not. Because I don't remember her actual age, but I'm sure she was. We talked about it too, right? Me and her, right? But that's the only theory I could come up with to explain it all. And then, of course, Roddy had to cover her or something, right? So she wouldn't get in trouble, right? And they wrecked me in the car, right? It's the only thing they could come up with around the curve, right? And then, come on. No one, no matter how fast you're driving, doesn't know to go fully around the curve. Now, I did wipe out on a dirt road, right? But that's different and went into a ditch, right? But this is a paved road. Plus, if I got my stepbrother in the car, I'm just going to go the speed limit until I get to Vivian's house. All right. And again, they're trying to cover Vivian, right? For attacking him after the daughter had sex with him, maybe, right? Or maybe she was a redhead too. I don't know, right? Because you remember I had sex with a redhead, but felt like she was trying to make me have sex with her, right? Not that I wasn't doing it with her in the process, but I think I was trying to pull out, right, for some reason, right? And she wouldn't let me, but was holding me in. That's not. That's a weird dream, but it's not. No reason was really given in the dream of why I wanted to pull out either, right? I just thought I was trying to stop, and she wouldn't let me stop and would hold me in or something, right? And it was a redhead. That's all I remember, right? Now, it don't mean I want sex with every redhead, or even though I dreamed of an Asian when dating a redhead, I don't know what that means, right? Or an American Indian looking girl, right? Or Native American, right? Or Asian looking, right? See, it all fits, though her cousin was Native American, right? She was telling me about. And I had the dream after that, right? And I met the girl, but she didn't quite look like, she looked more Mexican kind of than Native American, but the girl in the dream looked more Native American or Asian like, right? Or even Vietnamese like, or was kind of a dark skinned Asian, right? But not in a little tan, right? Right. That's why I might would go for Kelly or an Asian looking girl, right? But I'm not trying to have sex with her. And if we did, she's also the only one who could black me out, right? And hit me over the head or something, but then she would have to do it in front of everybody, right? And that's attempted murder, right? See? That's kind of a worse crime, right? Than having sex with someone in the bathroom, which is also the only place you could do it, right? In a restaurant, right? And lock the doors, right? Now, see, I don't remember going into the women's bathroom because usually I go in the men's, right? Dude. But whatever the problem really is, all I know is I'm trying to be a customer and she's acting weird about it the whole time, right? Not that I wouldn't be interested in her. Never said that, right? But that's with any Asian girl, right? It's not like that's the only Asian restaurant, but it was the closest one, right? You see what I mean, right? It's not like I'm going out my way, right, to get there, right? It's just across town, right? Now, they also have a buffet. Sometimes they'll serve you food but won't have a buffet. They both served you food and had the buffet, so you were getting both, right? It's probably why it's still open and still popular today, right? Because I started going out as soon as it opened between 2000 and 2004, right? I don't remember specifically when. And when they opened, right, it's just right down the road, right? Across Garden City, right? And it's the only buffet style, right? And I was eating almost 3 meals a day, but it wasn't always the buffet either, right? And some of it was from the menu, right? And I'm just trying to show Kelly I like Chinese food. It's not about you. Now, if she liked me, I don't even know, because that's not what I'm going there for. But I'm trying to figure out if Michelle would like me, right? But I still don't know. I still don't know. I don't say she does or don't, right? And I'm not going out there when I go out there to do anything but eat. But when I eat the buffet, I try to eat only one meal, right? More around noon or between 11 and 12, right? Right. Because they open at 11, right? I even know what time they open for lunch, and they serve only lunch and dinner, right? They don't serve breakfast or anything, right? I can be out there 4 times a day. But see, if I can eat up there up to 3 times a day if I eat smaller meals, right? And see, I can also order just the chicken, right? No. They have a little chicken finger platter, right? You know what I mean. It's called sweet and sour chicken, right? Well, that's around $4 or something, right? Maybe 5 by now, I don't know. But anyway, it's cheaper than the buffet, which is almost 10 now, right? Maybe it went up a little too, I don't know. Because they got a charge for price, right? And they're still cheaper than Western, I mean, whatever it is in Fuller. And I got one down here in Rincon, and they're probably about the same price unless they went up. But I'm trying to avoid buffets. It still has nothing to do with them but me, right? I'm trying to lose weight a little bit, right? And buffets, I guess, don't really help that even if you eat one meal, right? I know. So you tend to eat 3 meals at one setting, right? But like I said, right? See, I got things in my garage from the, front to the back, right? And you would have to get over them, right? And of course, if I leave my garage open, I'm not going to tell you that one way or the other. But if you open the garage, you're breaking and entering. Even if I let you in from the front, right? If you go out the back, right, or through the garage, you're breaking and entering if you attack me and knock me out, right? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because you came in under false pretenses, right? And then attacked me, right? Trying to harm me or black me out or even kill me, right? You're not supposed to do that over sex, right? That's why Satan has confused you about sex, right? He's trying to murder you over it and get you to murder each other over it, which is what's really killing you about it, right? Sex is natural, sex is good. Not everybody does it, but everybody should. I don't know. But you won't think of it that way. I think Jesus did more than the disciples did too. I think he had 12 lovers, right? And a wife, right? And that as she was cheating on him, he was cheating on her, right? That's also eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth and adultery for adultery, huh? Right? Which is better, adultery for adultery or murdering the person, right? Stoning them, right? Ain't that part of his message with the woman that caught in that adultery? Who they said was a wife to somebody, right? See, John uses 3 different spellings of the word woman there, right? One associated with the Virgin Mary, which he married Joseph by the contract marriage, right? Though he knew her not till after she had Jesus, right? Don't say at all, Catholics. Don't mean she was a perpetual virgin, right? Except for Jesus, And every woman is only a virgin once. Then when she has sex, she's what? No longer a virgin. Right. Now, it also depends on if she gets pregnant. That's why the woman at the well had 5 husbands. None of them could get her pregnant, and they divorced her. Right? And then the 6th was just her living lover. But Jesus didn't judge her for that on that either. Some women have to go through some assholes to get men. You know it. And yet, they know they are just showing their butt back to the asshole who got him pregnant, right? And trying to get money from him and then help him raise the baby, right? And that's what you're supposed to do. One of the things I was trying to do with Mary Bell is give her child support, whether Patrick can find or not, right? Just because he might be. But again, right, you got to prove it too, right? And according to law, since that's the way you were legally married to someone else, right? And his name was on the birth certificate, not mine. I can't do nothing about that, right? Even if I didn't get pregnant with someone else, like Steve or whatever, right? That's all I know, right? Though, if you trace it back by birth weight, it's within 2 weeks of the last time we were together, right? And she's on birth control pills until she meets him, right? Even on birth control pills, you can still have a period, right? Because I know a girl who, was on them, was having sex with her husband the whole time, and then found out she was pregnant too, right? But didn't know when she got pregnant. When they looked into it, it was about 3 months prior, right? And she was still having her period, didn't know, and didn't know. And it also causes what's called low birth weight, right? In other words, it'll be a little bit smaller and not weigh as much, right? Now, if he's 4 pounds 9 ounces and you met the other guy in December, you got to follow the birthing chart to figure out what weight he should have been at that weight, right? And guess what? It was only 6 months, really 5.5. I'm giving him that, right? After they met in December. May is the 5th month, Mary Bell. If he came at the end of May, right. That's 5.5 months, and he can only be 1.5 pounds, right? He was 3 pounds larger, 3 months larger. Right? That's all I can tell you, right? Now I was trying to step up, but you were cutting off my hands legally. It's like, and acting like you didn't want him to be mine, maybe. You didn't say anything. You didn't do anything about it, right? Well, I can't either, right? I don't know how to get a hold of you or where you're at. See, even to serve you papers or have you test him DNA wise, right? That's got to be set up through the courts, right? And see, I don't know where you're at either, right? Daphne did the DNA test with Jonathan, right? And I knew where she was at, right? got it done, right? I'm trying to take care of my children, right? My son, right? Which that's the only one I know is my son. The other one's 2 weeks also, I'm not sure, right? Myself, right? And I'm acting accordingly, how anyone knows that was told all that, right? I'm not acting too crazy about it, nor too overboard, nor too, right? Just right. Not too hot or not too cold, just right. Sometimes you need to be just right. Sometimes you gotta stay in the middle lane, right? Can't go to the left or right either, right? It depends on what you're doing, right? If you're walking down the path, right, you gotta stay in the middle of the path, right? If you go to the left, you're gonna go to the woods on the left, and you go to the right, you're gonna go to the woods on the right, right? Reason for that. You gotta stay on the path, right? Too, or you get lost in the woods, like in The Hobbit, or right. You gotta stay on the path, right? If you get off the path, you're gonna get lost in the woods, right? Right. If you think you're following the path, and you're not following the path, right? That's the problem. Broad is the way to destruction, but narrow, right, is the path of salvation, right? Because, see, you have to be almost perfect. Not because of God, but because of Satan. And what Satan is doing is making everybody think they're unworthy to walk the straight and narrow, right? And even the Christians are getting certain things wrong about Jesus' body, which also includes the woman, right? The male and female are one in Christ Jesus' body. That's what Paul's talking about there. So are the bond and the free, the Jew and the Gentile, the black and the white. Right, by the way. He's the source body, the first body, right? Not Satan, who is his child, right? That's another thing you won't understand. The second born, right, though he precedes us all too, right, is the problem, not the firstborn, right? Which is Jesus, right? So he's the firstborn of every creature. Nothing existed before him, and God created everything through him and by him, right? That was made, including us, right? We're made in the image of a God, right? Well, he's the God we're made in the image of, right? But he's both. Not male or female, right? And that's so neither one can make graven images and say they're God, right? Or worship their own image as God, right? But we're doing that anyway, too, because that's another thing Satan is treating us into, is idolatry, right? To worship a clay or stone masonry, right? As if it's God, right? When it's not God, God's not a man, right? Or a woman or a woman. But if he's both, right? You're neither, right? But not male or female yourself, right? You're male and female. You're male and female. That's why Paul said it that way too. He didn't say male or female. Male and female are one in Christ Jesus, right? Both. And when John said he had paps, right? Female breasts, right? As Luke did, right? When the woman blessed the paps that bore him, he sucked, right? In the womb that bore him, right? And he himself said he is the womb, right? And the shepherd. That means he's both. You're not both. Fully. You're like yin and yang divided into two, right? This is for my Chinese friends, right? To understand it, right? And again, right? None of it is fully wrong, right? It's 50-50 right, right? But that also means you are 50-50 wrong. Right. If you only learn half of it, because all you see is male and female predominantly, right? However you say that, right? Dominantly, right? But there are a few hermaphrodites around too, one in every 100,000, right? Well, that means in a million population, there's only 10 that can be a hermaphrodite. damn, right? Do you understand the math, right? So in a 7 billion, that means how many? About 700,000 maybe? Right. Still a small number, right? But that still makes the third of the angels Satan is warring with is men. You're one of the third, right? If there's three forms, right? And hermaphrodites are different than male or female too, right? They also have different packages, right? Some are XO, some are XXX, right? XYX, or X, or YXX, or YXX, right? And all that's different. Now, I don't know if the egg could be XY because, again, right? With a hermaphrodite, though, right? It could be XY, XY, right? I don't know. Right. Kind of what the egg does is similar to what the sperm does, is determine the gender too, right? So the X is the earth and the XY is the heaven, right? Why is that? One is two different genes and one is X, either with all the eggs, right? Unless you're a hermaphrodite, then it's XY, XO, X, right? Or XY itself, I know. So you're then both. Who knows if you can't produce an XY? Yeah, right. I don't know. See, I didn't really go into all the details, but enough that I know it has to do with chromosomes, right? And they have the double portion, right? The firstborn of every of a man got a double portion, right? And the secondborn got less, right? But that's still the men favoring their firstborn son over their other sons, right? That's why the secondborn wanted his inheritance now, right? And to get out the house because he felt like the firstborn was getting all the attention and doing everything right, and maybe he wasn't, right? And that's another thing, right? Satan is envious of Jesus because God can create through him. No. But not through Satan, not through Satan. He's just like us, right? He can make stuff, maybe. He might even came up with wine before there was wine, right? And wine can get you drunk off your butt, right? And even in Eden, okay, if Satan is doing wrong and trying to go down the wrong path himself, only he knows, right? What he's doing too, right? Jesus don't necessarily know until something bad happens, right? Do you know what your children are up to when you're not around them or they're not around you? No, you hope they're doing good though, right? You're trying to trust them, right? To do good, right? And if they don't, they don't. I mean, right, right. Same way. You don't know what they're up to, right? Until they come back, right? And then when he came back, that's when he had a feast or something, right? And I don't know why exactly there was an issue there. Mm-hmm. Unless he somehow hurt himself and learned he could feel pain or something, right? And then got mad with God cause of it, right? And then again with Jesus too, right? And because he wouldn't forgive it, he couldn't be healed. He couldn't be healed, right? Though some things heal minor injuries no matter what, right? But major ones are harder to heal and you need God's help, like with the paralytic or the man who couldn't get into the water, right? When the angel disturbed it, right? And no one would help him get in, right? And it was each man for himself back then too, right? And only one won the prize, right? Right. But Jesus told him too to arise and walk, right? And he healed two men. One was partially paralyzed from the waist down, and one had to be lowered in on a cot, right? And he told the man simply this, like I did with Jack Osborne. If you believe God, your sins are forgiven you, and your sins are believing you got MS in the first place over God who can heal it, right? That's a sin too. You're not letting God heal it or forgiving the MS, right? It's becoming an issue, right? And the doctors diagnosed you with it, and you're believing them over God, right? Because of their little white coats, right? Well, they're still not the maker of your body, right? And what they do is they tell you you can't heal, right? We can't treat that. We can't fix that, right? Well, if you believe that, right, you have MS till you die, right? But if you know how to forgive it and ask God, right, and believe God when Jesus said he forgives you, right, he's trying to show you we got to learn to forgive each other, right? Our sins and our problems in the flesh, including miracles, right? Not since then, up to a certain point, right? The last miracle we know of is in the book of Acts, right? And it all is around Paul, right? And that's in 28th chapter. If you read the whole chapter, you'll find out what I mean, right? Now, the thing is, though, right, the whole book, right? It don't tell you everything about Paul. It don't tell you how he died. It doesn't, right? They're leaving some things in, some things out. The other one you know who died in the Bible was Jesus, right? You don't know how the disciples died, though, right? And there is an image on the shroud, but that's more consistent with the Roman burial rather than a Jewish burial, right? Now, in a Jewish burial, you're bound, right, or wrapped tightly, right? Head to toe. And then you have a napkin also placed over you, right? That wouldn't create a solid image, I know it wouldn't. But here's the thing. If you wrap the person lightly, right, and just drape it, right, over the body, you could create the image on the Shroud of Turin, but that would be the second man who was crucified like Jesus. And guess what his name is? Peter. And guess who you're really following then? It's only Paul telling you that the male and female are one in Christ Jesus, and John. John said, John the Baptist, he that has the right is the bridegroom. That also implicates some kind of marriage as well. What's going on, right? Because when John said that, it was in chapter 3 after chapter 2, which is where he got married. Now, if someone didn't want you to know Jesus was married, who would it be? Peter. Why, Peter? Did you not want the people to think Jesus was married? Were you with Mary Magdalene yourself? Are you one of the 7 who cheated on him with his own wife? There has to be a reason. And that's a dick move, Peter. And you are married yourself, right? Not saying Jesus also had Peter's wife, but they knew each other because he healed his mother-in-law, right? Remember? I know. Of a fever. But I bet there's a reason Peter don't want you to know Mary Magdalene was his wife. I know. And it might be he was one of the 7 to commit adultery with her himself. So it does talk of 7 brothers, according to Mark. Right? Or 7 brothers had one woman, right? Scribes and Pharisees, right? And the Sadducees. See, the Sadducees are the ones who say there is a resurrection, right? Right. Though he used Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in saying that God is the God of them, right? Just talk about the resurrection. Well, like I pointed out, there's a replenishing of the earth, right? To replenish something is also to refill it if you wipe out your own population, right? Now, the flood could also be partly the heating up of the earth at the last ice age, right? Which could cause a global flood, right? Or things like that. And maybe the sin caused the earth to go cold first, then it started heating up, right? Again, right? And by the time of the flood, right? Again, still around 4,000 years ago, right? And again, we started going to the different continents all over the planet, right? At that time, right? Caught after the Tower of Babel, or some were already over there, right? Like China is east of Eden, right? Right. Don't mean they're all cane seed or anything like that, right? But they could have been there for over 6,000 years, and you don't know. That's why their calendar might be a little different than ours, too, right? Mm-hmm. You don't know where everyone's spread out, right? And even Seth's family, the younger brothers could go in different directions, too, right? And they only mentioned the firstborn, right? But they also had other sons and daughters. See, like some of the writings, you can tell they're guessing what happened with Adam and Eve, right? After the fall. Mm-hmm. And how many children they had and things like that. Well, Seth is about 105, right? Because they have to have not only a son, but a daughter. Mm-hmm. Then once they have the son and the daughter, however old they were, both have to be mature enough to have sex and have a baby, right? Mm-hmm. And then again, that's when that happens, right? in the Bible. And it's telling us they lived close to 1,000 years, too, before the flood, right? But then after the flood, around the time of Abraham, it seems to be reduced to 120 years, right? Because man was continually violent. And if you looked at the actual death rate, right, when it started happening, Adam only lived a little bit longer than Seth before he died, right? Maybe 100 years or so, right? Within 120 years, right, of each other. Even the oldest man, Methuselah, died 200 and something years after his father died, right? I think it was 229 or somewhere in there, right? Or 69, right? Or 68, somewhere in there, right? I did the math once, but I ain't worried about it right now. Right. And I'm talking about from the date his father died to the date he actually died, right? So if you're living longer, right, and you start dying within a short time of each other, right, you're still alive when your children are being made, right? Until you die. Now, only Adam, though, was with Satan, right? Not Seth. And I'm not sure what he did about Cain and Abel. But maybe he did something to make Cain attack Abel. Maybe he attacked Cain first. Not sure if he was Satan's son, right? And that made him a bad person, right? And it's kind of Adam's fault then, too, right? If he did him like Satan did him, right? Right. Because he thought he was Satan's son, right? We don't know now either, right? He could have been, right? But the seed of the serpent is also the sperm, right? Like with any STD, right? Which can kill you, right? Some slower, some quicker, right? From syphilis all the way up to AIDS. I mean, yeah. And then you got, lesser genes like non-specific urethritis or what they call them, urinary tract infections, right? Things like that, right? You can get those UTIs, right? That's what they call them, right? And again, all this affects one another. We affect one another, right? Through the sin and Eve being sexual, right? It's also why we wear clothes now, right? Versus any men, okay, judge it, right? Now, that's why, even though the Muslims say it's God getting the woman to wear the burqa, it wasn't until 500 years after Christ that they came out with the idea of the burqa. So, no. It's not God, it's men. It's men. Teaching for commandment, the commandment of men, and not God, right? But they say it's God, because God can't talk to them too, right? No, it doesn't talk to someone else, right? And you're not exactly agreeing with it. The Bible don't say you have to wear clothes in public, right? I don't. Though it does tell you to wear clothes pertaining to a man or a woman, yes. If you wear them, right? Clothing, right? It don't tell you you can't go to the beach nude or don't have to wear a bathing suit, right? Depending on where you're at. In Europe, they can do it topless, right? And men can wear almost nothing. But they got bikini briefs for men, right? And women. Now, some men can pull it off, some men can't. I'm kind of in the middle, right? Right? I'm kind of like a little bit of a wrestler and a little bit of a overweight man, right? I know. And like I told you, I hit the freaking hood of a car once in a bike wreck and didn't even knock me out. But if you're knocking me out, you're trying to hit me hard enough to harm me, right? And like I told you too, I don't care if you're 15 and working in your dad's store. If you had led with that, it would have been fine. I wouldn't have rat you out. But somebody was nervous. Somebody knew they were doing something they weren't supposed to do. I didn't. I didn't. Though I was talking about it in general too, right? And the only reason you would do it is both to blackmail me and so I won't remember it, right? And again, how do I know you blacked me out? What was I doing? Your regular routine, my regular routine, right? It's also why you would ban me from your store, right? Your dad's store, right? Makes sense. Makes sense. And why I ain't been out since. I'm messing with you about the customers. They don't know either, right? I only went in there 3 times, right? During the next 3 months, right? And the first time was when I was blacked out, not the second two, not the second two. And third time, I just went into the bathroom real quick to show you I knew it was the bathroom there. I know. And I'm over it too. I'm trying to forgive you and move on, right? Get over it, right? I got over it real quick, real quick. And that's what you were talking about then too. Yes, yes. But with Vivian's daughter, I was 16 to 14 and, still a minor, right? Still under 17 or 18, right? Now, in certain things, you can be charged as an adult, even if you're under the age of consent, right? Consent has to do with sex, honey, right? If you're just 15, you're only a year under the age, too, and you're supposed to tell me that, not tell me you're 37, right? And I know you gotta be 16 to work in the salon, right? So you're making it about you. I'm not. I'm just saying in general, right? But I'm just thinking that, right? See, I'm also pointing out different ages, right? Things like that, right? Why a 15-year-old and 16-year-old and, right? One I can't be with, one I can, right? How? Technically, right? Don't mean literally, right? A 16-year-old would even want to sleep with me normally, right? But that's what I mean. I'm not saying it's Maria next door, right? I'm not saying I know who it is even, right? I'm not saying it couldn't be the Comcast girl and the girl from the salon, right? I don't know. Or a new girl, right? Or another Michelle I was with before. But whoever it is, they're trying to make me forget, right? That I was with them again, right? Or a new girl, right? And like I said, there's always two ways to do something, right? And see, if she unlocks the garage and I don't know, or it's unlocked or not, right? I'm not telling you that, right? That's just an alternative way for her to possibly get out, right? Is through the garage or the front door. It's easier to go through the garage, though, the more difficult if you want me to think you were in the house and the door's locked still. No, or not, or not. That just means I already unlocked it then. Or never locked it, right? Sometimes I might not. But lock one of them or both of them or right? All three. See, two of them you're going to have a problem getting in, right? One of them you can bust down the door, but that would be evident, right? Right. That's why I kind of got holes in the door, right? So I can see who's out there. Mm-hmm. That don't make sense. That don't make sense. But I also got posters. That's Ronda Rousey there. That's just things I got over the years, right? One's an exercise poster, right? Of men and women, I think, right? Yeah. Using a stretch band, right? And then that APS, which is upside down, so it's going to look like SDV almost, right? To you, right? Or backwards, even, no, right? If you can even see it because of the light there, right? The light might kind of cause you to not see it too, right? Let's see. Alright, that's that side. This is the other side, right? And the door is in the middle. Mm-hmm. And you might not can see it because of the light making it glare. Mm-hmm. Right. But if you could, right? Right. I got a little picture of Ronda Rousey and the little exercise thing, and right, you know, typical male stuff, right? Right. I more do male things than female things too, right? Though I learned not to judge anybody, right? Even my brothers who want to be a woman or dress up like a woman, right? I don't judge you anymore, right? Though, of course, for being raised in the South, we try to judge everything, right? Everybody. And that ain't helping Jesus. That's helping Satan. I know. That's the problem. Even he's probably one of those judgmental pastors still, right? Judging everybody and not really saving them and not really saving them. He thinks he is. I know. His church is just as bad as him about it, right? They don't know better. They don't know what they're doing wrong. They think judgment is right and condemnation too, right? No. Forgiveness is right. Not judging is right. Because the Father doesn't judge you, right? He just loves you unconditionally, and he made it all, right? Through Jesus. Not with Jesus alone either, right? But with Jesus' female side too, right? See, he too has a female side, right? So do you, Christians, right? You're just denying your mother over your father. You're both supposed to be patriotic and matriotic, right? You have a father and a mother. Honor your father and mother, not or. Now, if you love father or mother more than me, you're not worthy of me, he said. You're trying to love your father only. Without a mother. You're misinterpreting the scriptures. Yeah. Though the male and female, the mother and father are one in Christ Jesus, the man and the woman, right? It goes all the way down, right? To son and daughter. We're all one in Christ Jesus, right? That's what they're not getting, people, right? In the real world, right? Who wants to join me or not, right? My job is just to tell you they're wrong. They're doing what Satan wants them to do, not Jesus. And that's why they're the lukewarm church, too. They're still judging, thinking that's what helps save you. You got to do right or wrong, right? No, you're not supposed to judge at all. Huh? That's the hardest lesson for you to learn from Jesus, right? Quit reading from your Bible and judging people like they're first century Jews still, too, right? You're trying to live like a first century Jew, and Jesus didn't even live like one. No, he's going to the sinners, not the saints. You're trying to get the sinners to become saints like you, but you're still not like Jesus. Right. You think you are. You think you are. Now, what am I doing? A righteous judgment, right? What's a righteous judgment? I'm also trying to tell you there is right and wrong, sure. But your idea is comparative to the Jewish idea of the first century. And we're not in the first century anymore. And the Torah is for the Jews to separate them from the other nations. Not you. Okay? God did that for a purpose, right? So the Messiah could come through the Jews, right? And their Messiah is supposed to be everyone's Messiah, right? Too. Of the Jew and the Gentile, right? But he said or. Why did he say or Gentile, right? That's how separated they see it, right? You're either a Jew or goy or gay. Haggai is one of the foreigners who was in Israel. And it's goyim plural, not go yoth, or ga yoth. Mm-hmm. Now that includes the men and the women. I know it does. And so does when you refer to it in the feminine, right? The families of the earth, right, are still mother and father, right? And, Now, I'm not saying, okay, still sin isn't sin, right? But the sin is for the Jew man or the Gentile man, right? And the sin is also, depending on age appropriate, right? And any law can be changed. Even marijuana laws they're trying to change, right? For example, right? But why? Because a lot of people don't do crazy stuff on marijuana like they pretend they do, right? Some do. Some don't. And not everybody who drinks like a maniac, I know, or there would be a lot more problems, right? And not everybody who smokes gets cancer, right? And not everybody who, right? I know. See, there's a certain number, right? And it has to do with your belief and if what you're doing is right or wrong, too, right? See, that too is another way Satan can kill you slowly. You're judging yourself, right? Worse than God is. I know. And see, I'm trying to do the right things because I know the rules, right? I still try to play by the rules, right? But even if you don't, I'm not here to harm you, right? Depending on what rule you're breaking, right? But if you're trying to murder me over it, no, no. Murder is worse than sex. Yes, Jesus showed you that. With a woman caught in the act of adultery, you're supposed to stone her, right? With her, love her, right? Those two are to be stoned, right? Now, like I said, the loophole is they only brought the woman, right? That's called a loophole in the law, right? A loophole means I get to say something about it. Wait a minute now. You only brought me my wife. Where's the man? Where's the man? Right? You're supposed to bring a bus, right? Because, see, they're bringing the wife to Jesus. But only the husband can determine if she's stoned or not. Right? Like with Joseph and Mary, who determined her fate? But another man or Joseph? Joseph, right? Same with Jesus and the wife, right? If it was Jesus' wife caught in the act of adultery, they're going to bring her to him, right? Now, why are you confused about it? The story don't say so plainly. It doesn't, no. Jesus called her a woman at the end, right? Because she is. And if you're committing adultery against me, you're a woman again, right? You're not my wife. You're another man's wife, right? You're having sex with another man, right? Now, what's the difference with the woman at the well? Even though she was with 6 men and 5 of them she was legally married to, right? Versus the wife they brought to him, right? Was she his legal wife, right? And even him and Mary Magdalene would kiss sometimes, right? Intimately. And it bothered some of the disciples, especially Peter. What, is he jealous? Is he jealous? I don't know. And sometimes it's metaphoric. 7 brothers had one woman's wife, right? I know. Meaning all 7 also had sex with her. But none of them got her pregnant. Whose wife will she be in the resurrection? Well, that's where Jesus trumped them. Well, what are you talking about? They don't marry in the resurrection. They're being resurrected, fool. You don't have sex